Disney has never done this before. Completely redefine a theme park. New lands, new feel, even a new name. Turning Walt Disney Studios into Disney Adventure World. Disney invited me to visit Disney Adventure World to see this unprecedented transformation for myself. And as I walked through this new $2 billion expansion, I couldn't shake the feeling that this actually felt familiar. Because except for the new name, Disney has actually run this playbook before at California Adventure. After all, these two parks share a legacy. A legacy Disney has been spending billions of dollars trying to rewrite. A legacy of the second park problem. In 2012, they solved that problem at California Adventure. I was there for that park overhaul with the opening of Cars Land and Buena Vista Street, transforming it into a park fans truly loved. And now, 14 years later, Disney's trying to finally put that second park problem to bed once and for all at Disney Adventure World. It's twice the investment on a park that needed it twice as much. I flew across the world specifically to see if Disneyland Paris could have its California Adventure moment. And I walked away realizing I came into this whole experience with a big question that turned out to be completely wrong. I'm James Grosh from Guide to WDW, and last week I took you through what I experienced at my preview of Disney Adventure World. And this week I want to unpack the big picture. Let's start at the beginning, with how Disney created this second park problem to begin with. In the early 2000s, Disney opened two second gates within less than 14 months of each other, one at Disneyland and one at Disneyland Paris, both trying to replicate the success of Walt Disney World and turn those properties into true resort destinations. In 2001, California Adventure opened with a thud. It felt cheap, especially compared to Disneyland Park. Everyone said it was the worst park Disney ever built. Well, it didn't have that distinction for long, because in 2002, Walt Disney Studios opened in France. And in many ways, it is the Parisian sibling to California Adventure. Except here, things were even more dire. Things were so bare bones that this was the reaction of the current head of Imagineering, Bruce Vaughn.
California Adventure looked great compared to Paris Second Gate. The first time I went to Paris Second Gate, it was after hours, no kidding, for the first 10 minutes I'm walking through and I was like, when are we going to be in the park? And he turned to me and he goes, you're in the park. And I'm like, I'm on stage? He goes, you're on stage. I'm like, this looks backstage. It's a bunch of gray warehouse. He goes, yeah, it's like supposed to be like a studio.
How did Disney make a park that got an Imagineer to react like that? The late Eisner-era theme parks all followed the same playbook. Scale back the budgets and rely on the strength of the Disney brand to carry the experience. And that playbook backfired. But the issue isn't just budget, it's identity. Because really, a second park needs to complement the first park. Offer something different, but not too different. Legendary Imagineer Tony Baxter once defined Disney's castle parks. Disneyland is the charming park. Magic Kingdom is the spectacular park. And Disneyland Paris is the beautiful park. With Disney's original second park, Epcot, they nailed it. Epcot feels spectacular, but in its own Epcotian way. Disneyland is charming, but California Adventure was kitschy and loud, the opposite of charming. And Walt Disney Studios, to use Bruce Vaughn's words, a bunch of gray warehouses is not exactly beautiful. So how do you fix this second park problem here in Paris? Well, Disney has a good blueprint to work off of with California Adventure. In 2012, they added a completely different entrance plaza called Buena Vista Street, themed to the Los Angeles that Walt Disney arrived to. They created Cars Land, an immersive land based off of a movie anchored around an e-ticket. And in the run-up to those debuting, they debuted World of Color, a nighttime show unlike anything they had done to that point. And all of this didn't just add rides, it added charm. And at Disney Adventure World, they're running this blueprint again. New promenade, new immersive land, new nighttime show, and a big identity overhaul. Let's see if they pulled it off. Starting with the most controversial change, which is actually the name, because it's been surprisingly divisive. And I get it. Adventure World feels very broad. It doesn't evoke a specific theme like Disney Sea or Animal Kingdom. But there are benefits to having a blank canvas. Disneyland and Disney World are also very broad names on their own, and after spending a day in Disney Adventure World, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but I realized that Adventure World is actually really fitting. Because this park is now a combination of California Adventure and Epcot's World Showcase. Adventure plus World. This is the remix theme park. Now, before this extension, the California Adventure parallels were already there. The Hollywood inspiration, Adventures Campus, Tower of Terror, lots of Pixar. And there was already a dash of Epcot there too with the original Ratatouille area. But these new additions bring more Epcot flavor into this park, especially Adventure Way and Adventure Bay. I know a lot of people are focused on World of Frozen, and for good reason, but I think that this is the most interesting and most important part of the new expansion. Because Adventure Way is the connective tissue, the real heart of the park. Walt Disney Studios had an odd shape to it before, kind of a very wide Y. It felt like walking through corridors, which made the park feel small. Adventure Way adds this lengthy promenade, gardens, and a big lagoon. It all feels open and expansive. And I instantly was reminded of World Showcase Lagoon and the layout of Epcot. There are attractions, dining, and entertainment all surrounding a lagoon. But Adventure Bay thankfully is much smaller than World Showcase Lagoon, while still feeling big. You get the Epcot feeling without the every person comes out tired size. And Adventure Way just feels like it is purpose-built for seasonal parties, events, and festivals. There's going to be rotating seasonal entertainment, and Disneyland Paris already has these seasonal gourmet chalet food booths that feel perfect for Adventure Way. It feels like a great place to take a stroll and hang out. And just like Epcot's festivals, Disney can give you a reason to keep coming back that just didn't exist with the old layout. The changes at California Adventure in 2012 were huge, but that park had the same layout. Adventure Way completely changes the shape of Disney Adventure World. Buena Vista Street did a lot to make California Adventure feel like it belonged next to Disneyland. It echoes Main Street in scale, in placemaking, and importantly, in charm. I think Adventure Way does something similar here. The word I kept coming back to again and again was beautiful. This area is elegant, refined, gorgeous. It feels like it belongs next to the park whose defining quality is beauty. And there's so much intentionality with Adventure Way. Imagineering is drawing from a lot of different European inspirations. There are huge influences of Art Nouveau throughout the entire area. The Regal View restaurant has bespoke plates and ironwork crafted by Dutch and French workshops that have been around for literally centuries. The Land's custom soundtrack was recorded by an orchestra at Abbey Road Studios. We are a long way from a park of gray warehouses, and this level of intentionality is not something that I think most guests will notice on a conscious level, but you can definitely feel it. But weirdly enough, as I walked through Adventure Way, I kept on getting deja vu to an area that isn't from Disney at all. It's from Universal, Celestial Park at Epic Universe, which is another hub with big water features and draws from European influences, especially Art Nouveau. But they create two different feelings. In Epic Universe, Celestial Park has this otherworldly feel for its mainly American audience. But in France, Adventure Way feels like it belongs. Just like how Main Street is this timeless mashup of Americana, Adventure Way feels very timelessly European. But the real test of Adventure Way comes after dark, with the new nighttime show, Cascade of Lights. If Disney Adventure World is the remix theme park, this is the remix nighttime show. It throws every trick Disney has in its playbook onto the field. Or I guess onto the water. Fireworks, fire, drones, spotlights, water fountains, water screens. The world of Frozen lights up in sync with the show. There's even aquatic drones here that were originally conceived for Rivers of Light at Animal Kingdom. And that show debuted 10 years ago. The soundtrack has great remixes of Disney songs, and it hits the beats I want from a nighttime show. Moments that are exciting, moments that are fun, moments that can make you tear up. It's a bit of World of Color, a bit of Luminous, and it's its own thing. Disneyland Paris' fireworks show and Cascade of Lights are an amazing 1-2 punch, and I'd be hard-pressed to pick between the two. Kinda similar to Disneyland's fireworks and World of Color. But unlike World of Color, Cascade of Lights doesn't make the most of its water screens. The animations are a bit too static. Now, the show more than makes up for it with everything else, but this goes from minor nitpick territory to problem territory when the weather acts up. Because if there's high winds, the drone part of the show gets cancelled. And without those drones, it's not the same show. And you need those water screens to do more of the heavy lifting. I hope this is something Disney works on and improves over time. Now, actually, my favorite part of the show was after the show was over, and I don't mean that in a sarcastic Statler and Waldorf way. There's a great denouement that just lingers for a few minutes after the show, with the spotlights and the drones twinkling like stars over the lagoon before they cascade down. And it's just a serene moment. A moment of beauty in a park that now feels beautiful thanks to Adventure Way. Now, Adventure Way and Adventure Bay do a lot of the heavy lifting redefining this park. But Take a Stroll in the New Hub is not exactly a great ad campaign. That would only attract theme park sickos like me. With California Adventure, the big reason to visit was Cars Land. And for Disney Adventure World, the big reason to visit right now is the world of Frozen. And I stand by everything I said in last week's video. The celebration in Arendelle show is incredible. Robo Olaf is the coolest thing I've ever seen in a theme park. More about him in the next video, so get subscribed for that. And Frozen Ever After is a significantly better ride than the Epcot version. For the majority of guests in France, this will be their first time on this ride, and they get the best version of it. And it stands up as one of the best rides at Disneyland Paris. It can anchor this park, but how the land feels is just as important as the ride. This week, I had the incredible pleasure of joining Lou Mongello on WDW Radio to talk about World of Frozen. And Lou said that walking into this land for the first time reminded him most of walking into Cars Land for the first time. And on a visceral feeling level, I think that's a really good comparison. In my opinion, Cars Land is Disney's most successful example of taking a specific location from a movie and bringing it into 3 dimensions. It makes kids think, oh, this is where they filmed the movie. Arendelle feels like you are stepping into the exact world of the film. Like Cars Land, there's great detail, great placemaking, great Easter eggs, and incredible rock work. When I lived in California, I would love to just grab a table in the outside area of Flo's Cafe and take in the views of the Cadillac Range. And after Lou made that comparison, I realized I was doing the same thing here at World of Frozen. I kept coming back to the bridge overlooking Arendelle Bay. And it's one of the most beautiful views Disney's ever created, especially at sunset. This feels at home at Disneyland Paris. But I have to be honest, Cars Land has a bigger scope and scale than World of Frozen. There are more food options, there are 3 rides rather than 1. But I think doing a 1-for-1 comparison between Cars Land and World of Frozen loses the bigger picture of what Disney is building here. Because, like I said, Adventure Way is a big deal. And that has its own attractions, like Rapunzel's Tangled Spin, a really fun elevated flat ride that fills a similar role as Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. But World of Frozen's scale isn't a problem. It's actually a feature. And the land's place on the lagoon is really important, because last week I compared this to a plussed-up World Showcase Pavilion in terms of scale. And I mean that as a compliment. Just like how it feels like you're stepping into France or Morocco or Norway, the level of detail here makes it feel like you're stepping into Arendelle made real. And I don't think that's a mistake, because the remixed theme park deserves a remixed World Showcase. Not one that takes you through the real world, but one that takes you through Disney's fictional worlds. That's a really compelling concept for this park. And it sets the model for the future of Disney Adventure World. A future that's already being built. Disney announced Lion King is the next world they're adding to Adventure Bay, with a massive flume ride with animatronics based on the animated film. Plus, there's dining, shops, and all of this just went vertical. I saw giant cranes doing work during my trip. When that opens, this will give Disney Adventure World a unique offering that you won't be able to experience anywhere else in the world. And when you add Pride Rock next to the North Mountain of Arendelle, this park is going to have an incredibly impressive skyline. One that evokes adventure. But the story doesn't stop there. There's room for more expansion along the bay. Now, Disney's behind-the-scenes materials they've released accidentally revealed that this area is codenamed Na'vi right now. I wonder what that could be. But don't say Sivak code just yet, because until ground is broken, these plans can shift. The Lion King area was originally announced as Galaxy's Edge, complete with concept art. And there are plenty of worlds that could fit in at Disney Adventure World. Star Wars, Zootopia, Encanto, Chicken Little, it's probably Chicken Little. But that's the advantage of the Adventure World name. It opens up a lot of possibilities. In 2012, California Adventure felt like that chapter of the park was complete. It was 9 years later that Avengers Campus was added. With Disney Adventure World, this is just Act 1. And it sets the stage for the future with Act 2 already being built and beyond. But guests visiting today don't care about what's coming tomorrow. They want to know if visiting right now is worth their money and their time. And this is my verdict. Now, I've been seeing a lot of people online saying that this isn't enough. Disney's just adding a 10-year-old ride and a Teacups clone and calling it a new park. And I think that's a really reductionistic way to look at things, because of how these additions fundamentally change the feel of this park. But I do think that Adventure World needs more capacity. And Disney obviously agrees. They're adding an upswing ride and they're adding Lion King. I hope Disney keeps investing more into the park, like expanding Adventures Campus or adding more mini-lands in between the big immersive worlds. But what's here today is enough to answer the question I came to Paris asking. I flew across the world to come see this park. So I was naturally framing this whole video around this question. Would it be worth it for you to do the same thing that I did? Is Disney Adventure World alone worth a transatlantic trip? And honestly, the answer is no. But also, that is the wrong question to be asking, because that is not the role of a second park. A second park doesn't need to be the destination. A second park needs to extend a trip, give you a reason to stick around by offering something different but complementary to the first park. You should go to this park because it's footsteps from Disneyland Paris, one of the most rewarding and beautiful parks in the world. Adventure World carries that beauty forward while being its own thing. Disneyland Paris's second park finally makes it worth extending your trip. It finally succeeds and fixes the second park problem. Walt Disney Studios was a rehash. Disney Adventure World is a remix, and that remix is just getting started. I have a lot more to share, including how Disney pulled off the Olaf animatronic and my experience at Disneyland Paris as a first-timer. But until then, this has been James Grosh from Guide to WDW. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you real soon.